12 Pakistani soldiers were killed before sunrise. This happened yesterday in the steep mountains of South Waziristan. The world hardly noticed. But this is not just another border fight. It is a serious warning that Pakistan's western border is very weak. 12 soldiers, gone in a blink, and Pakistan's army is left scrambling. What exactly is going on behind those mountains? Let's find out. It was a cold morning in Badar, near the Afghan border. A Pakistani army convoy was moving through narrow mountain roads. Suddenly, gunfire came from both sides. Heavy weapons, a perfect crossfire, and no escape. By the time help arrived, 12 soldiers were dead and 4 were badly hurt. Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan or TTP claimed the attack. They even showed captured guns and drones online as trophies. This wasn't just about casualties. It was a PR jackpot for the TTP. By snatching Pakistan's own advanced guns and even drones, they didn't just humiliate the army. They armed themselves for deadlier strikes in future. How did they do this? They copied Hamas-style tactics. Fighters were placed in advance, the timing was planned carefully, and they ran away quickly after the ambush. This was not random shooting, it was planned guerrilla warfare. Experts say many TTP militants trained with the Afghan Taliban against NATO forces, where they learned advanced fighting skills. And Pakistan's rapid response system failed. By the time Pakistan's backup finally arrived, the TTP fighters were already back across the hills, sipping tea, turning the army's rapid response into a mountain-sized joke. Now think about South Waziristan itself. For more than 10 years, Pakistan's army has bombed, cleared and fenced this region. They built hundreds of forts and spent millions on border fencing. 85% is finished. Still, militants move around easily. The high mountains, some 4,000 meters tall, act like a natural hiding place. Local tribal groups who do not fully trust Pakistan's government quietly help these fighters. Intelligence reports say many of these militants move freely across specific Afghan provinces like Khost and Kunar, where Pakistan cannot strike without risking a major diplomatic crisis. Pakistan shows off its surveillance drones and spying technology, but the TTP has learned how to beat them. They use simple radios, local guides and tricks to fool Pakistan's high-tech systems. Even with a $9 billion defense budget and a 20% spending increase, Pakistan has already lost almost 460 security staff since January, its worst year in 10 years. Behind these numbers is another problem. Pakistan's army still trains for big wars with India, not for small, hidden insurgent attacks. Drones on display don't win wars. If your soldiers can't stop an ambush, your parades are just theatre, and the world is watching the farce. Did Pakistani intelligence miss the warning signs? Yes. Pakistan's ISI once had close ties with Afghan Taliban leaders to counter India. Today, those old friendships are a problem. The Taliban government in Kabul quietly gives TTP fighters shelter, travel passes, and even guest houses in the capital. UN reports confirm this. Since the Taliban took back Afghanistan in 2021, TTP attacks rose from 573 in 2021 to more than 1,200 in 2023, and they are still rising. Kabul's unwillingness or inability to act could push Pakistan toward risky border escalations or even airstrikes, moves that would further destabilize the region. Every time Pakistan comes under pressure, they blame others. After every big attack, officials cry, "foreign hand," usually pointing at India's raw. This time is no different. They called the dead militants Indian-sponsored Khawarij, a term meaning rebels or outsiders in Urdu, used to paint them as dangerous extremists. But there is no solid proof. Indian media say these claims are just a way to hide Pakistan's failures at home. Meanwhile, the border itself is a big problem. Afghanistan has never accepted the old British-drawn Durand Line. Even with fencing, there are more than 20 illegal crossings still open. Last December, Pakistani and Afghan soldiers fought along the border and people on both sides died. Pakistan even captured 6 Afghan border posts. Every clash makes trust worse, and every gap in that fence is a doorway for TTP fighters. A fence with holes is not a border. It is a confession that Pakistan cannot even guard its own house. And Waziristan is not Pakistan's only problem. In Balochistan, another war is going on. Baloch separatists attacked Chinese projects and CPEC convoys more than 300 times last year. They even want China to leave. Beijing is angry and has threatened to bring its own security. China came to make money, not to clean up Pakistan's mess. And tonight, even Beijing is losing patience with its so-called all-weather friend. Pakistan's economy is drowning in $274 billion of debt, repeated IMF bailouts, and a shrinking tax base. But defense spending still takes almost 15% of the budget, while schools and hospitals get very little. Endless fighting is draining the country. Inside Pakistan's army, General Asim Munir, who is called the Jihadi General and Mullah General for his fiery speeches, is under fire. Critics say his big words hide weak strategy. The army is stretched thin. It cannot open new fronts or deliver a strong response. Even if Pakistan asks the Taliban to remove TTP, the deep Pashtun and religious ties make that unlikely. The most probable future? Kabul will just move TTP fighters further away from the border, out of sight, but still a threat. And with morale boosted by their success, the TTP could plan coordinated multi-front attacks alongside Baluch separatists, overwhelming Pakistan's forces. So where does this leave Pakistan? A weak western border, angry tribal areas, a restless Balochistan, and an army trained for the wrong kind of war. And here's the reality. Pakistan keeps failing at protecting its own soldiers, its borders, and even Chinese investments. Yet, it will still pose as a mighty army on parades, while the world watches them scramble behind the scenes. So tell me, how long can Pakistan keep pretending to be a powerful army when it can't even secure its own backyard? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's call out the truth, and if you like my content, kindly consider subscribing to the channel. Jai Hind.